Hey everybody, this is Cherokee Edwards from Cherokee Edwards Inspires, where we're going to have shows here to talk about life, to talk about what makes your life special, what makes it better, and everybody working together, because together everyone achieves more. Acronym for the word team. Stay tuned and let's get it on.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Cherokee Edwards Inspires. And tonight, coming at you with a bit of a heavy heart, obviously, with all the drama that's going on around the country and throughout the nation. I really was holding myself back from talking and discussing things that you just can't get away from. Well, there's too much senseless killing going on. Obviously, it's not a news flash. That's been a way of life forever for a lot of minorities, in this country. And it's hard for me to go here because the thing is, there's good and bad in every body, in every nationality. There's great white people, and there's great black people, there's great Hispanics, there's great Asians, there's great Indians, and then there's bad in all of those races as well. So, tonight is kind of a bittersweet situation where, we'll talk about some of the things going on. Obviously, you hear about it all the time. I just want to try to bring another light to the situation. I know a lot of younger people, they're going to be feeling like major targets, and we've been targets. Me coming from the inner city of Philadelphia, I've always heard that the deeper south and out west and different places you go, you experience a lot of racism. I've been really fortunate. Even though I grew up in an all black neighborhood, I was able to go to different places, and I will say this, that sports has opened me up to every nationality, even when I was a kid going to some of the camps. So, I was always around, every nationality at some point, even though I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood. I definitely developed, and the neighborhood made sure of that, but we developed a fear of the police. We grew up with that, and it was something that I had to grow out of, and things like this don't do a great deal, go a long way, in making children feel safe. I know you guys remember months ago, I had Officer Perry down in Newport News with me, and our goal was to instill trust in the youth with police. And our message was clear. All police are not bad. All police do not want to kill you. But every time you turn around, you see a situation like what just happened to Mr. George Floyd and Breonna Taylor on March 13th and Ahmaud Arbery February 23rd, and the list goes on and on. And first of all, let me just say my heart goes out to their families. It goes out to the community and to all of us. We all live here on this planet, and I'm always telling people we have to learn how to share this world and share this country. It's just too much of senseless killing. It's not a video game. It's not like you can bring the person back if you say, oops, I didn't mean to do that. You know what I mean? But when we talk about these things happening, I want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to understand that there are some things that we do have choices over, and then there's some things we don't. So anybody that's racist out there, I want you to know this. None of us are born pushing a button and saying, I want to be this color, or I want to be that color, or I want to be, this religion, this nationality. There's things that you just can't control. There's certain things you cannot control. And one of the things that makes the world beautiful, a beautiful place, is that we're all from different, genres and different walks of life. If everybody looked exactly the same, the world would be a boring place to live. I mean, just think about it. When you go to a buffet, those that you when we used to could go to buffets or things, you go to buffets because you want something different on your plate. You don't want to just eat the same thing. Well, when we start talking about life, one of the things that happens, if you give people a chance, you might find out that we're not so much different, you know. But one thing, I was talking to someone, some kids, not too long ago, as this stuff was, going on, right before the riots started and the protesting started, I say, every now and then, every so often we have a situation come up where our people need to protest. People need to protest. The one thing that I love about the protesting now is the heavy volume of everybody. Like, I have great friends that are white and they're out there protesting right alongside everybody else. And, my best friend is white. I know I told you guys this before, but there's nothing I wouldn't do for him. There's nothing he wouldn't do for me. And he's an economist right there in the heart of DC. And, he's really hurt by this because he knows that it set us back. It set America back. We look at this stuff and we had our president say how the country is laughing at us by the armed forces and the police, and the governor's not using the armed forces or using the police to be more aggressive toward the protesters. But that's not what they're laughing at, because everybody in the world, especially these third world countries, they go through this every time you turn around. They have protesters and people throwing Molotov cocktails at the police and rocks and different things and getting roughed up and beat up and hosed down. And, you just think to yourself that, at some point in time, when do we actually love each other? What they're laughing at is the lack of leadership. They're laughing at the fact that, we have people that can't get along, and it's interior. The fabric of our country is unwoven. And it's a shame, and it hurts. I didn't get to see a lot of this growing up. I have a lot of friends that told me about racism that live down south and down here and further south. I went to school at Texas A&M. Of course, I was in the military for 4 years. I mean, I fought for this country. I was in Desert Storm, and I got friends. One of my, great friends, was going to a store, and he put it on Facebook too, and it bothered me. Somebody stopped him because he was parked in the veterans parking, and basically assumed he wasn't a veteran. I guess because he didn't look like one. I don't know what a veteran's supposed to look like, but I guess he didn't fit the bill. And he asked him, is he supposed to be parking there, or why is he parking there? And then when my buddy told him that, he's a veteran, which he didn't even have to do that because this guy was just somebody walking in, the guy's asking him for ID and I guess to prove. And this just happened recently in the mix of the pandemic and a mix of, the protesting and all the things that are going on. We find the smallest things to make into mountains, just because. And I really believe that this racism stuff, guys, just to be honest with you, the ones that I hear the most rhetoric about, and really, to be honest with you, they are the dangerous ones, but they're the ones that don't like their life. If you're racist for no reason, if no one did anything to you, and you just don't like somebody for the color of their skin, it's not them that you don't like. I'm convinced that your life is miserable. You are a miserable person, and there's nothing else. I mean, when I see someone racist, whether it's black or white, now I'm not talking to just white people now when I'm talking right now. I'm talking to black people as well. I'm talking to the Asians. I'm talking to Indians. I'm talking to Hispanics. If you are racist, think about it. What is it that could make you hate a whole race of people? There are black people I cannot stand. I wouldn't want to be in the same state with them. I don't even want to say their names. You know what I mean? I can't stand them. I wouldn't want my worst enemy to hang out with them. And that goes for every nationality, but it's not about color. It's about character. Your character is what should, be gauged on whether or not, we want to hang out with you or we want you to be around. But I will also say this, as I was telling the young people when I was speaking with them, America would not be America without black people. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't be America without Mexicans, Hispanics, Puerto Rican, I could just say the Latin community. It wouldn't be the same without Asians, and I'm going to give you a couple numbers, in a little bit. I'm going to break for station identification, but I'll be right back, and we're going to get into this a little bit.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Okay, guys. Well, we're back with the Cherokee Edwards Inspires, and I want to share some numbers with you. I do a lot of studying. I do a lot of reading. And one of the things that I was studying throughout this whole, situation since last Monday, Monday before last, the 25th, I really started looking into things. And I discovered out of roughly 335 million people in the United States, 61% of that is made up of white people, which is 204 million, roughly. Hispanics make up 18%, that's number 2, which is 60,300,000, give or take. The blacks make up 13%, which is 43,550,000 people. And then the others, all the other populations they have mixed in, they make rounds out to 8%, which is the 30,150,000. Okay. Now, knowing that we don't make up that much of the population in America, but when you look at, since 2015, unarmed people killed by police since that time. And this is what really scares people, but I just want to shed some light on some things. The white people that get this done to them is 42%. Okay? Hispanics, 18%. The black community, 36%. And then the others round off at 4%. So when you think about that disparity, and like I said, I have friends on the police force. So this is by no means a knock on all police. And I definitely want to make that point clear. Without the police force in America, I promise you, the way you're seeing these looting going on, that's what would happen every day for absolutely no reason. This looting is given life an opportunity because some rogue cop decided to kill someone on national TV. Without that, they don't have the platform to do that. But the other thing is, the looters, they're not honoring, George Floyd by doing that. Even his family doesn't want them doing that, right? You're taking away from the wording. You're taking away from, why the protesting is all together. And the whole thing, as Martin Luther King said, that our way of protesting is to be heard because we're not being heard, or our people are not being heard. And now when I say our people, I'm not always just saying the black people, because as you can see, white people are just as hurt. They're out there right with us. You see it. So I don't want people to look at police. I don't want people to look at white people. I don't want them to look at Asians or anybody else. I don't want us to look at people and start to put them in pots and saying they're all bad, because that's what happened to us. And hate only begets more hate. Racism is not good on either level. You know, so when I take a look at these statistics that I'm reading out to you right now, when we talk about these unarmed people killed by police since 2015, what the percentages look like is 1.1 per million. A white person has a chance of being murdered at a stop. Unarmed person. Hispanics have 1.6 out of a million. And then the black community, obviously 4.9 per million. So the black community has a 4 times greater chance of being murdered as an unarmed routine stop. When you see these stats and statistics, even if somebody wants to argue that point, when you look at the news and you see this stuff, you're seeing stuff that you just can't believe. To sit here and because of technology, we actually got to witness a murder on television a week and a half ago to a man that was being arrested for passing a counterfeit $20 bill. I mean, that's all his life was worth to that officer and really those 4 officers. I'm just so happy all 4 have been arrested now and charged. And it took a long time, but it did happen. I think the right man for the job is on it now. And God don't like ugly. I know everybody, knows that and uses that as a cliche. But the reason why the world is in such a disarray is because of the way we treat each other. That's just, my belief, my understanding, the way I've been raised. If you treat people good, generally you have a happy life. And when you're happy, you don't look at people with hate in your eyes. You smile more. But when you're miserable, then you start saying, hey, they took our jobs, or they took this from us, and, we don't have that. I was listening to a really ignorant person, but I had to listen to it because a child had it on their phone. So I had to address it. And they were saying how black people were taking the jobs, and this is why they hate black people, is they're lazy, they're loud, they're obnoxious, and they take jobs. Now, I'm not saying that that's not true. There's a large number that might be true. But to say everybody is that way and to lump everybody together, that's just wrong. Some of us are extremely hard workers. Some of us never late. Some of us are accountable to everything we do. Some of us fought for this country, and some died for the country. So I just don't like that. Now, what the other staggering number that I was looking at that really is pretty heart-wrenching is most of the people killed by police are young men between the ages of 20 and 40. And young women are getting killed that way too. They just stopped 2 people. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But in Minnesota, the Attorney General stepped in. Thank God for that. Mr. Keith Ellison, he stepped in. And as soon as he stepped in, these other officers were charged. And the charge went from, 3rd degree to 2nd degree instantly. And it's not going to bring, George Floyd back. But it'll give the family some solace that, and all of us in America, to know that his life did mean something. Because his daughter is now going to grow up without him, even though he has, there's a great support system around her. But, these are things that I just want to make, bring to our attention. There were students that got drug out of their car a couple nights ago, Messiah Young and Tiana Pilgrim, and just for going to go get something to eat. They were just going to get something to eat. They had nothing to do with the riot. They had nothing to do with the protesting. They were going to get something to eat. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time, I guess, huh? But anyway, those cops, and there was 2 of them that were black, they got fired instantly, and 2 more got put on desk duty, right? And then once everyone saw the video, charges were brought on them with excessive force. I mean, that was within the same couple days of what happened to them. Meanwhile, it took 9 days for George Floyd's killers to all face charges. And like I said, I don't want to just harp on this because I try to bring joy and bring light to situations and talk about how we get past this. I'm not going to look at any of my friends differently because of the color of their skin. I live in a area that a lot of people around here are business owners and retired people, right? And a lot of my white neighbors have come to me and apologized to me for what is going on in the country. And the first thing I told them is, you don't owe me any apology. You did not do this. You did not do this. Do you harbor bad feelings? Do you feel like that any one of these people deserve what they got? Because if you felt that way, then you may owe me an apology for even coming to me. Because I don't really have a problem with racism if you're going to be straight up about it. But if you're going to be a coward about it, breaking windows, doing stuff and trying to point the blame at somebody else, it's one thing if somebody doesn't like you and they tell you they don't like you. Well, to stay away from them. But it's the sneaky ones, the cowards. They're dangerous. They're dangerous because they're not going to come and tell you they're coming. They're just going to sneak up behind you. Since 2015, fatal shootings have averaged nearly 1,000 every single year. And it's just, like I said, it's a very sad state of affairs that, but I also lost a nephew earlier in the year, right around Christmas time, and he's only 28, and he was killed by another black man. And I know people are saying, hey, look, guys, when you say Black Lives Matter, right? My take on this is the first people it should matter to is other black people. So we have to stop senselessly killing ourselves so other people can see that we do love each other, that we will protect each other, not just when one of them is gunned down, but we'll take care of each other. We see somebody being roughed up, even by our own people. We need to protect each other. That's the reason I believe that you see people disrespect us so much. It's almost like if you walk into somebody's house and their house is filthy and dirty, you're not thinking of cleaning up. You're not thinking of, hey, do you have a coaster that I can put my drink on? Or you're just going to put it wherever it is, if you drink in their house at all. If you see somebody cussing out their mom, chewing her out, yelling at her and just disrespecting her, right? And everybody's doing it. A lot of times, you're going to end up disrespecting her too, because she accepts it. And because other people have done it, especially her own children. If you disrespect your wife, if you disrespect your girlfriend, if you disrespect your boyfriend, your husband, ladies, well, other people are going to disrespect them too. The reason when, the first thing these people talk about when you get into a conversation about Black Lives Matter and, white people shouldn't, these officers should not kill our people and white people shouldn't kill our people, like what happened with Aubrey, No, it shouldn't have happened. Aubrey was only 25 years old. He was a football player as well, running. Me and my wife have looked at houses. I'm sure you guys have as well. No, he did not deserve to be shot down And notice these things happen in broad daylight. Breonna Taylor was just trying to go to sleep. She was just asleep. And they had the wrong house. And they came in with no warrant and blazed. Her boyfriend should have shot them because they were intruding in their house. The Second Amendment says you have the right to bear arms and you have a right to protect your home and your family. But look what he got for his troubles. He got arrested and she got killed. I'm not asking anybody on here to do something that's unnatural. What I'm asking is us to look at each other and see the good in each other. If you don't see the good, move away. You don't have to, deal with it. The supremacist groups, they're looking for this. They want this to happen. That's the way the devil works. The devil is so happy that we are in this disarray, that we're unsettled and we're scared, because that is of the devil. Fear is of the devil. God doesn't want us to fear anyone but him. But he wants us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. If we don't learn to love ourselves, then how can we love our neighbor? You can't. You can't. If you don't respect yourself, you don't respect others either. So as a businessman, a minority businessman, business owner, I ask you guys, stop looting. Stop taking advantage of people who work their butts off to build something. As much as I think that, I didn't like any of the acts, right? I looked at what happened at the police station, and I said, okay, well, this time they actually turned their sights on to what was bringing that pain, But like I said before, all police officers aren't bad, and if you think we don't need them, we're sadly mistaken. We don't need the bad ones. We don't need the corrupt police. And I remember back in like 96, Tupac said, and he got reprimanded for it, and maybe lost his life behind this thought, but the thought of it comes blaring. He said, you take that same gun that you would kill your brother with, and you kill that cop. But he didn't just say kill cops. He was talking about the corrupt cops. But of course, society heard him say that, and they just try to make it out to be he just wants to be a cop killer. What you're saying is, at sometimes enough is enough, and people are getting tired of going to funerals for these young men. Especially when you find out they didn't have a gun, they didn't do anything wrong, and even if they did something wrong, it wasn't a death sentence until it was. So I just want you guys out there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's try to bring love into the equation. I'm just as mad as you guys are, and that's why I'm on here now, because this is something I had to fight with myself, and I promised myself I would not talk about this until these 4 officers were charged. I just couldn't talk about it. I watch it for hours, because that's all it's on now, but I watch it for hours just waiting for what I heard today, that all 4 are now charged with second-degree murder. Even the other 3 got aiding and abetting, which they deserve. And if they can move it up to murder 1, that would be great. But the fact is, instantly we got something done that we all wanted to see happen. And I thank all you great white people out there, and Hispanic and Asian and Indian, everybody, but especially the white people that came out, because that's something that, as I used to watch TV, the old shows, before my time, when Martin Luther King would march, and Malcolm X, and Medgar Evers, and you hear about all these people back in the day. And even though you saw some white people marching with them, you didn't see anything like what you're seeing now. This time, it could really be a change, because it seems like we're all realizing that we're all human. And just please understand this, everyone, especially those of you that are having trouble, blending with the races and accepting us. None of us were born with the ability to push a button to say what nationality we wanted to be, what color we wanted to be. We just need to love each other for who we are, respect each other for who we are. Well, you know what? That's enough of that. Like I said, I'd rather just talk about something fun. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, please love each other. I love you. God bless you. And let's try to find a way to live together. Wash your hands. Cherokee out.